What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're back talking more rugby fun stuff for round 4 of the World Cup. Some more team selection reactions. This one is going to be for Fiji versus Georgia. Probably might be the game of the round I'm looking forward to see the most, actually. I know we've got a big game on this evening. New Zealand versus Italy. There's a preview video out on the channel for that one already, if you haven't seen that one. But this one is what I'm really excited about. Fiji in with a fantastic opportunity to go into the quarterfinals. Of course, Wales have already qualified now in that Pool C. Fiji, though, with an absolute full head of steam, best opportunity now. Go on against Georgia and Portugal still to go in terms of being able to secure their place in the quarterfinals as well. Now, Fiji didn't play last week, but the week before, they, of course, had that historic win over Australia. An awesome game to watch as a neutral. I thoroughly enjoyed watching that one. A couple of players really standing up. A totally different style Fiji play, kicking at posts and not just going for the one-off runners. Defence looked a lot more solid. I was very impressed by the step up they had into that game. Now, Fiji are the home team for this game as it's being classed in the World Cup. So we'll start off by taking a look at their team. And to be honest, even though they've had that week's rest, they don't feel like there's a lot of changes needed from the team that went up against Australia. I think we've only got one change from the team that actually played Australia 2 weeks ago. So starting out in this front row, Maui, Matavesi and Taghi in that front row. I'm trying to cast my mind back now. Whereas the lineouts I still don't think are quite on point. The scrummaging work from them looks solid. They look like they wanted to get involved with the forwards. The driving more in the scrummaging areas against Georgia are kind of hard to call. It's Georgia's bread and butter, right? That's the game they love getting involved with. Now, Georgia played Portugal last week, and it looked like they were on top of those set-piece areas, but still came away with the draw. And by the end of that second half, it actually even felt like they were beginning to fade off. So these lads will be looking to get involved, very, very highly involved in those set-piece areas. The lock department remaining the same as well for them. The line-out situation for Fiji has got a little bit better. Against Wales, it wasn't really the best. Against Australia, it did look a little bit better. Just in terms of being able to get that ball thrown in straight, not giving away a silly infringement, because you can launch the big backs that they have in Fiji off the back of that lineup. You want to be making sure they are on point. Matavesi hopefully going to be having a good game in terms of getting them in straight. And then in the back three, Tagitali Valu goes in alongside of Bottia and Mata. So again, massive ball carriers for this back row. They love carrying up to the line, carrying the ball hard. And defensively, last week or 2 weeks ago now, they were looking really solid against Australia, really not backing down from the physical game, just backing themselves in the breakdown, making those tackles, trying not to give away that many penalties, which I don't think they did really by the end of the game. The first half, they let a couple slip for them, but I think they defended very, very well against that Australian team. In the halfback partnership, Kuravoli goes back in alongside of Teller, which is nice to see that Kuravoli's still fine. He looked like he picked up an injury in that Australia game. And considering how well his kicking performance was going, I was really, really worried that maybe he picked up too much of an injury to that. Maybe Lomani would be coming back in. That week off has given them, plenty of time to rest up now. And Kuravoli, for me, is got to be that first choice kicker, right? Taller's still not really particularly doing very well. Lomani was doing better, but Kuravoli looked very, very impressive. So looking forward to hopefully see him get a few kicks over the post against Georgia. In the centre partnership, no switching up here. Tuisova and Naya Kelevu go back in the inside and outside centre. Tuisova, of course, getting that immense try versus Australia. No one jumping for the ball, it bouncing on, catching it, and just charging on his way. Of course, the joy of the Fijian back line is they can all sort of move around as and when you need to. But for the start of the game, they are going to be playing Tuisova in that inside centre position, and Randraudra is going to be out on the left wing with the return of Ravu Taumada coming back in on the right wing. Of course, we had Wainakolo last week playing on the right wing. Ravu Taumada played against Wales and I thought performed very well against Wales. They also played very well against England and Twickenham in the World Cup warm-ups. And I really, really rate him in terms of that wing. Making a lot of room with the ball in hand on the outside, but cutting back inside, help supporting his own lines. And normally Naya Kelevu and him are partnering up very, very well. So Georgia will have to be very alert to what these wingers will do. Portugal wingers, caused them a lot of issues last week. So I can see these lads having a good old day. And then finally, in that fullback position, Droa Cc retains in the 15 shirt. So one change across the board from the team that went up against Australia and played very well against Australia. Georgia might have a lot of hard work cut out for them in this one. In terms of the bench, then another identical situation to what went up against Australia, apart from Tawake. I'm going to hopefully get that name pronunciation right. I can't think of that player's face off the top of my head looking at it now. But he's the only change in because, of course, Doge was playing last week or against Australia. I'm going to keep saying last week, by the way. It's just something I do. I mean the last game when I say last week. But the rest of the bench remaining the same. Tuisu will be come on at some point to bolster those forwards. Lomani, Botitu, and Harbosi will be coming on in that second half in terms of the backs. And hopefully Lomani's going to be taking over kicking duty, unless Teller's been doing a lot of practicing in terms of the kicking duties. It's kind of weird now to see an international team with scrum halves kicking. The last one I seem to think of now is, Scotland having Greg Laidlaw or France having Morgan Parra. That's how far back I'm going in terms of your scrum halves kicking. So it's nice to see another team that has someone else taking the kicking duties over the 10. But a solid looking Fijian team going into this one. Moving on then to their opponents of Georgia. Now, Georgia last week, like I said, played Portugal, came away with a draw in quite a weird game. I was really struggling with that one a bit. It was kind of enjoyable as a neutral to watch it, but kind of frustrating from someone who wants to see, really top-end rugby. The first half was all Georgia. They were running the game just all over the park. Portugal did extremely well in terms of defence to hold off so many points. But little mistakes for Georgia, letting easy opportunities slip by. Went in at half-time. Georgia were quite high up on the scoreboard. They looked much better, and I thought Georgia were going to seal this out now in the second half. They came out in the second half and really felt like they fell apart a little bit, and Portugal made the absolute most of that. Could have gone on to have won the game, but didn't, unfortunately. Ended up being a draw. So I feel like Georgia have actually got a few more issues to sort out before going into this game, and then back-to-back of this one, they've got Wales next week as well. Going to be a couple of tough rounds for them to finish off this World Cup. In terms of the team then, Nariashvili goes in as the captain for this one. Zam Taradze goes in as the replacement hooker for this one this week, and Gigiashvili in that tight head prop. Now, Mamuk Yashvili was playing last week and isn't at all involved with the team today. I'm trying to think if I saw him pick up an injury. I can't remember back to last week now if I saw anything to happen to him. So no Mamuk Yashvili this weekend, which is maybe a bit of a loss to this Georgian front row. In terms of the lock department, then Jayani goes in alongside of Mikau Tadze. Now the line-out department against Portugal, maybe you can get away with it a little bit. Fiji again, I still don't necessarily rate Fiji's line-out as being one of the top line-outs involved with the international stage of rugby. But the lock department for Fiji will steal lineouts from you if they have that option available to them. It's more the actual throwing side of the Fiji lineout I've not been completely convinced by. But their actual locks will get involved in the air, so a change there as well. Big chance for maybe Fiji to get a couple of lineout steals in this one. In terms of the back row then, a difficult name for me here, Gacha Chiladze. Hopefully, sort of getting that pronunciation right. A new name for me. I can't think of seeing that player before, so I look forward to checking him out specifically in this game. Saganadze goes back in the open side flanker, and Jalagonia moves to the number 8 shirt after playing in that blind side flanker position last week. Again, no Gorgadze, not on the bench either. Maybe they're considering targeting the Wales game more than the Fiji game. I feel like Fiji would actually maybe be warranted to put on a slightly bigger team against making some of these changes. For me, the names that are not in this team are some of the bigger names for Georgia. So I'm kind of surprised maybe they want to target the Wales game to finish off. Of course, they beat Wales last year. Maybe they think that'll be an easier target game, but Wales, of course, got the week off this week and got no other games after Georgia until you get to those quarterfinals. I can see Wales fronting up with a bit of a beefy team for that one. They may want to be careful. I might have thought they would have stuck with a very similar team to last week and just try and build on that going up against Fiji. Making changes every single week might sometimes come as a bit of a detriment to you. In terms of the halfback partnership then, we've gone back to the team that played against Australia in that first round. Lobjanidze goes in alongside of Matt Carver. Now, even though I think of Abshanzadze as the first choice fly half, Matt Carver actually played very well when we got to see him play Australia in that opening round. So maybe this will be an interesting choice. I look forward to seeing him get on. Now, kicking kicking options for them is going through the number 10. Matt Carver was actually pretty good in terms of his kicking, so I'm looking forward to see him there. Hopefully, Lobjanidze is going to be making a big impact as well. In terms of the centre partnership, then a big switch up here. Kvelzadze moves to the inside centre, and Topladze comes in on the outside centre. So no Sharakadze for this one. I've had to go and have a quick look. I couldn't find anything about an injury for him, or maybe me forgetting he had some sort of massive red card. But Sharakadze not in for this one, not on the bench either, which is why Nariyashvili's taken the captaincy for this one. A big blow for them in terms of the backs, in terms of just leadership, because he's got some real passion in him to try and drive this forward. But Topladze moving in, still a solid player. We'll see how they get on. But I don't remember last time I saw a Georgian team without Sharakadze in the side, to be fair. And then finally, in the back three, they've mixed it up a little bit this week. Niniyashvili moves to the left wing from playing fullback last week. Tabutadze retains left wing, and Murabadze comes in the fullback position. Now, Niniyashvili against Portugal was one of the few players who looked like he was really on that offensive attack, was going to be getting in from everywhere, catching the ball in that backfield, taking it up, making his way through players. Looked like the biggest threat. He was the man of the match in terms of the Georgian team for me last week, being moved to the left wing on this one. Kind of a big call. I thought he had a massive impact from that fullback position, but we'll see how he gets on the wing. He's got a tough old job going up against some of the Fijian backs, to be fair. In terms of the replacements coming in for them, then a couple of new names for me here along the way as well. I'm still learning a bit about my Georgian rugby. Nioradze, Abuladze, and Aptsori. I'm going to hopefully sort of get that pronunciation right. If we have any Georgian subscribers, make sure to try and help me out with some phonetic spellings. There's some tough old names in the Georgian team for someone who's not used to a couple of these Georgian names. Chaisvili and Ivaniashvili will be coming back into the team, who, again, another one that I thought played well. He got missed out for the Portugal game, but again, I thought another player that I think is playing well for Georgia, actually. And then in the replacement backs, of course, Aprazidze, Avjanzadze, and Kohoidze is another new name for me. There's a lot of these Georgian players who I can't even put a face to the name. But of course, Aprazidze and Avjanzadze was the halfback combo last week. They'll be going on to bolster them at halftime. Maybe I would lean more towards Aprazidze and Avjanzadze being the starting halfback partnership for me. But we'll see how they get on. Matt Carver's still doing pretty well in that fly half position. In terms of a score prediction, how we see this game going then. This is going to be a physical game. It's one of the ones I'm looking most forward to, because I just think these two teams are going to knock the hell out of each other. And I really enjoy that type of rugby where they just go for it. The Fijians brought a different style of rugby going up against the Wallabies a couple of weeks back. Maybe they learned a little bit from Wales. If they play a team that's going to be on the defensive side, changing the tactics is the way around it. Georgia looked to defend really hard against Portugal. They were going off the line very, very quick. But Portugal just finding room in the back, maybe a couple of wingers getting around the outside, little cheeky kicks through, or a little sidestep around one player is the way to go. And I can see Fiji wanting to exploit that, spreading this wider, try and tire some of those Georgian forwards out quicker, and just unleash the backs. And maybe that physicality might be a bit of an issue in terms of the Georgian wings. People like Semi Randraja and Tuisova will be targeting some of those wings. I imagine that's why Niniyashvili's been moved to the wing for his defensive effort to try and halt one of those wings. But he'll be going up against Ravatamada, which is a tough wing. But on the other wing is the one I'm more concerned about. I think Tuisova working alongside of Semi Randraja on that left wing could be a bit of a linchpin for this game. So for me, I'm going to lean towards Fiji. I think they're going to be up for a physical game, and with some kicking options available to them now, slotting 3 points through won't be a big issue to them. Points difference in terms of the bonus point, maybe not the biggest aim for this game. Getting the wins is the most important thing now for Fiji. So they might not even look to go for the tries if they don't need to, but I'm sure Fiji would want to get over for a good couple of tries in this one. I'm going to say Fiji to win this one, and I'm going to say by 25. I've got confidence in this Fiji team. Let me know your score predictions down in the comment sections. If you haven't already, head over to the community tab on the channel, and you can go through all the games on there and put which team you think is going to win and do a little vote. It's been quite interesting to see who people have been voting for. The Samoa-Japan game, more people voted for Samoa. And of course, Japan taking that one yesterday. So it's always exciting just to see people's assumptions before we go into the game. So head over to that tab after you've finished watching this video as well. If you enjoyed this one today, make sure to hit that like button. Of course, it does really help the channel out, and I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye bye.